Business Value podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their business on their terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Now here's your host, CEO of Mastery Partners, Tom Bronson.
Hi, this is Tom Bronson, and welcome to Maximize Business Value, a podcast for business owners who are passionate about building long-term sustainable value in their business. This episode is part of our series on books written by Certified Exit Planning Advisors, or CEPAs. Now, I got my CEPA and certification in 2019. Earlier this year, I was invited to participate in the Exit Planning Conference author showcase that they had in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I picked up some great books. Now, while our guest today did not participate in that author showcase, he sure could have. He is a CEPA and an author, so I invited him to participate anyway. He's also a great friend. So in this episode, I'd like to welcome our guest, Dr. Nolan Duck, founder and principal of DBG Advisors, an M&A advisory firm based here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Our paths crossed at an event hosted by Business Navigators, that servant leadership organization that you hear me talk about frequently, and we've gotten to really know one another over the past couple of years. Nolan is the former president of the Texas Association of Business Brokers. He's a licensed real estate broker and author of Are You Ready to Sell Your Business? 10 Critical Issues Every Business Owner Must Address to Get Their Business on the Right Path for a Lucrative Exit. And one of my very few business broker friends that I keep in my Rolodex. Awesome. So welcome to Maximize Business Value, Nolan.
Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it and glad to be with you. Look forward to this conversation.
I look forward to sharing your wisdom with our audience. So tell us a little bit about your background and why you became a certified exit planning advisor.
Well, Tom, I have a pretty unusual background because I have spent decades in ministry. I was a pastor. I went to the University of Arkansas and have my finance degree from that school. But then I went to seminary and earned several degrees there, one of which is my doctorate. And I later in life, I was in my 50s when I felt like taking another path. I had read a book that is called 40 Days. Well, we had a 40 Days of Purpose project in our church, and I read the book Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. And in that book, he talks about being, why people are happy in their lives. And I have to admit, I wasn't all that happy. I had been a pastor for over 20 years at that time, and I felt like I was in the wrong spot. So I left full-time ministry and went into something called intentional interim ministry, which is going into churches that have had either a long-term pastor or a pastor who has had a problem and the church needs to regroup. And I do turnaround work for churches. And I began to do that, but I didn't make that much money doing that. So I began to wonder, well, Lord, what do you want me to do otherwise? And since I have a finance degree, and I thought, well, maybe I should go into real estate. I went to training to get my real estate license. And in the process, I discovered business brokerage, had a friend invite me to work with him. And I just really enjoyed it. And so over the years, I began to get trained and began to work in this area of selling companies. And that has been very rewarding, kind of a dual bivocational approach to ministry and business. And over the years, I've been just blessed to be a part of working with business owners. I love people to begin with. I'm a pastoral counselor. I have a finance degree. I'm a board certified broker, a real estate broker. And so all of this kind of fit together in a marvelous way. God works in mysterious ways, I guess. to,
He does.
to get us to where we are. And through that process, I found my niche of working with business owners, being an M&A advisor. And in that process, I had a lot of different companies and business owners coming to me that were ill prepared. They didn't have an exit strategy. So I began to look at different methodologies I could use to help business owners who were struggling. They've come to me. They have a lot of issues that really would prevent them from having a lucrative exit. So I began to move in the direction of providing that kind of guidance to business owners. Other brokers don't do this. They feel like it's a waste of time. I want to help business owners. And so that's what's motivating me. I want to help people accomplish what their true goals are. And one of those goals, ultimately, especially for those that are baby boomers, is retirement, and having, their business as their greatest asset to provide for that retirement is something that is near and dear to my heart anyway. And so I have been working with business owners to accomplish just that. I got my CEPA to help me better fit in with other CEPAs, and my lane, so to speak, or the thing that I do, is mainly help business owners market and sell their companies. But I want to make sure that the business owners that I'm working with have a team of people around them so that they can actually have that very positive exit experience that I hear many people don't have. So that's kind of what motivated me to get involved. And I wrote the book to help people have some steps that they could follow to be able to move in the direction of that exit.
Wow, that is just a lot to unpack right there.
So, I guess so.
And I get a understanding of what it's like to be listening to one of your sermons. There's just lots to think about, right? So
I don't know.
Yeah. So Purpose Driven Life, great book. It made me make a note here. I'm glad your church did that. Our church did the same thing. Maybe we should collaborate and write a book, 40 Days to Exit, instead of 40 days,
there you go. We can do it. Absolutely.
I don't want to mislead anybody to think that you can really do that in 40 days. It takes a long time to get a business prepared, and your book is good on that. Now, so you sort of think of your business as a calling, as this is part of your ministry, right?
I do. I believe that God has given me gifts and abilities that really fit well with the service I'm providing to business owners. I could talk about the biblical background of how I came to that conclusion, but that might be a little bit much for
That's right. Maybe we'll save that for another podcast. But it is a great book, and you've sort of given me a little bit about why you've done that, and the fact that people need a team, that not all exit experiences are good. In fact, I met with a prospective client yesterday who's had 2 failed attempts, right, to sell their business. And it's because they haven't taken the time to read a book like Are You Ready to Sell Your Business? And again, the subtitle, 10 Critical Issues Every Business Owner Must Address to Get Their Business on the Right Path for a Lucrative Exit. It's 10 things that in my opinion, Nolan, and don't take this the wrong way, there's nothing in here that's earth-shattering. I'll bet that most of your clients that read this book, or business owners that read the book, go, yep, I probably should have been doing that, right?
Yes, that it's just common sense. And I use illustrations of real live people that I've worked with, and issues that were either not addressed or ill-addressed. And so as a result, it led to a problem. Now, what we want to do is remove problems. We want to remove obstacles that would prevent a lucrative exit. So those are the things that many business owners are not thinking about. And I hate that, because they're walking through a minefield, and what I'm trying to do is put little flags on where all the mines are so you can avoid those and move beyond it.
Yeah, I next week our guest is going to be Zane Torrance, who wrote the book 17 Reasons what is it? 17 Reasons Your Business is Not Investment Grade. And so you boil it down to 10. He's got 17, but chances are there's, well, in fact, I know because I've read both books, there's a lot of very similar things. And I'm guessing that these 10 things are the things that you're seeing most commonly in businesses that come to you that want to sell. Would that be a fair statement?
That would be fair.
Yeah. So of the 10 critical issues, why don't we examine a few of those? By the way, just folks know who are regular listeners, if you're listening to this and not watching on YouTube, what you don't see if you're just listening is that this book has a lot of sticky notes in it. And because I read a lot, that if I find really good material, I mark it in a book like that in order to go back and refer to it again. And so I've got not only the sticky notes, I've got things circled and whatnot. It is a really good book. So let's attack one of those things. Let's explore a couple of those and then we'll take a break. What will it take to prepare for an eventual exit without disrupting the business?
Well, one of the things is business owners don't really understand how long it takes to be prepared, to get prepared. And so, they've been doing their work. They've been successful in their business. All is just great. They hopefully have a management team that they have worked with. They hopefully have some processes that are in place and documented. But what happens a lot of times, they don't realize how much time that it takes to actually sell the company. Their focus is because you're adding something to your normal business day. And if you're not prepared for that, you're in a little bit of you're headed toward a shock. They begin to recognize that they have to do things to be able to sell the company. And there's a lot of work that's necessary. And so what happens is many times they take their eye off the ball. They stop doing what they normally do. And if their business is too dependent upon them, then what takes place is their revenue begins to drop, or maybe they're not doing the things they had always done. And as a result, the clients are not as happy. There's some distress that shows up, not only in the revenue, but also even in the employees. They begin to, well, what's going on? Why is the boss so busy? What's happening? And most of the time, they don't really understand that there is a transaction on the horizon. And so when that happens, if you're going to prepare without disrupting, then you need to not be in a hurry. We need to set this process up so that we can do it in a reasonable amount of time and not feeling like, your hair's on fire. You've got to recognize that this is going to take some time. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to commit some resources and time to the preparation process. And that time can be as many as 2 or 3 years, could be longer. But if we do that, if we set things in motion in that way, then we come to we are preparing for a very lucrative exit where we don't have obstacles that we have to, manage around. We are in a better position to sell the company at a higher price.
I love that. We of course, you are on the side of the business that actually takes them and then goes and sells the business. And where we sit is, of course, on the preparation side. And I agree with you wholeheartly.
Well, my goal is to introduce somebody to you, possibly, or someone like you, right. And then be prepared so that when the time is right for the marketing process to begin, to go to market with the company, we have all of our ducks in a row. Sorry for the pun, but we have everything lined up so that we are moving in the right direction at the right time.
You imagine all the ducks being little doctors as well?
Yes, I do. So, Dr. Duck is a lot
yes,
to deal with.
Yes, it is. So, but you said, working, it could take 2 or 3 years. That's right. We always tell prospective clients that 5 years before your exit is the time to actually kind of ignite the process so that you've got plenty of time to do the things that you need to do to prepare the business. And then once it's time to shift over into the marketing and sale of the business, I mean, that can take as long as 18 months. It's 12 to 18 months is typical. And so if you just do the math and you work backwards, you have an 18-month process at the end, 2.5, 3.5 years to get ready. Our objective is to hand off clients to you that are fully ready to execute, to cut that time to market in half, because you don't have to do all the prep work. They come with with all the data that they need. I mean, business owners don't think. The gentleman I was talking with yesterday, he just knows things intuitively about his business that you have to explain, right?
Yeah.
And, you see, I know what's going on with that. Well, those are things that if you've been in your business for a long time, then how do you document that? How do you transition that knowledge? And you can't do that if you're in a hurry. I love that.
Right.
Don't do it. Don't try to do it in a hurry.
Right. And when I am not trying to push my clients to do something quickly. I'm not sitting there patting my foot. What I'm trying to do, I look at myself as Little Abner. There's a character in Little Abner called Marrying Sam, and people would come to him to get them married real quickly. Well, in a way, I'm marrying Sam, but I do premarital counseling, and I make sure that there's a good fit here. And really, when I go take a company to market, what I'm looking for is a buyer who is a fit for that company and for the seller himself, that there's a good fit on a number of different levels, because business owners do have concerns about their employees, about the legacy of their company, the name that they've built, all the brand that they have. All of those things are important. And so I want to make sure that I'm putting my client first and making sure that they are happy about the outcome after the sale.
Right. Chapter 4, we're going to kind of rehash a little bit of what you just said, but go a little bit deeper here. Chapter 4 is, how do I keep my business operating on all cylinders while I prepare for a sale? What advice would you offer to business owners on how to keep their business operating on all cylinders while they prepare for exit?
Well, again, I think I've already pretty much covered that to some extent. But the things that come to mind.
Our listeners want you to drive it home.
Okay, I'm going to drive it home. One of the things that you need to do is lead by example. For you to get prepared and move in the right direction, you need to demonstrate accountability and create that kind of atmosphere so that everybody understands that what we're doing here is important. The things that come to mind is, you're going to need to be able to have good records and books. You're going to need to have good processes. You're going to need to make sure that you are not the Lone Ranger, that you are the business. And if you leave, the business will fold. I mean, you need to have a business, not just, clients that come to you and only you. I mean, you've got to recognize.
We're going to jump into that after the break. We're going to get into that whole owner dependency thing.
But those are the things that to keep you operating on all cylinders is mainly focused on making sure that the different areas of your business, and it's the people, it's the processes, it's the data, it's the making sure that your accounting is in good shape, not living out of the business so that there's a lot of expenses being hidden, basically. P&L of the business, those kinds of things that you remove so that you have a clean 3 years anyway of P&L and balance sheet that is clear and is growing and is vibrant and is attractive to a business buyer.
Yeah. So, and that just takes time. That just takes time to do kind of all those things. We're talking with Nolan Duck. We're talking about his book, Are You Ready to Sell Your Business? Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Every business will eventually transition, some internally to employees and managers, and some externally to third-party buyers. Mastery Partners equips business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their businesses on their terms using our 4-step process. We start with a snapshot of where your business is today. Then we help you understand where you want to be and design a custom strategy to get you there. Next, we help you execute that strategy with the assistance of our amazing resource network. And ultimately, you'll be able to transition your business on your terms. What are you waiting for? More time? More revenue? If you want to maximize your business value, it takes time. Now is that time. Get started today by checking us out at www.masterypartners.com or email us at info@masterypartners.com to learn more.
We're back with Dr. Nolan Duck, a certified exit planning advisor and author of Are You Ready to Sell Your Business? Now, of course, your book addresses, and we sort of touched on this before the break a little bit, but I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive in this. Your book addresses one of the classic sins that business owners commit, kind of keeping it in that whole ministry thing. The classic sin is owner dependency. So what advice do you offer business owners on how to start making their business less about them?
Well, business owners come to me regularly thinking that they are ready to sell and their business is them. And, indentured servitude is not something that can be done. Slavery has been outlawed. So you can't sell yourself. And without you in the business, there is no business. So the way these business owners have built their business. And so the number one thing I try to get them to recognize is that is the case. And then begin to suggest that, they're not ready to sell until they can develop and foster a leadership team of some sort. And it can start with one person or two people, just somebody else that is doing what the business owner does so that the business isn't entirely dependent upon them. If they're the hub in the middle of the wheel and without them, it just isn't going to roll, then we got to work that out. We've got to have some spokes. We got to have some things that are in place so that the hub isn't the most important, that the owner isn't the most important thing about that business. Now it does take some time to do that. And one of the things that I do when business owners come to me this way is I refer them to people like you, Tom, to help them get to where they need to go before they go to market so that they have something to sell. It's really frustrating. There are some business owners that, they, for one reason or another, it might be possibly they have an illness and they need to sell the company because the stress is just beyond control, or their health is declining, or there's been a death in the family or something, and so they're ready to sell the company right then. Uh-huh. Well, in that case, I try to help them, but in some cases, I can't help them at all. There's nothing I can do. We could try to take it to market, but it's not going to sell. No one's going to buy it because it is them. So those are the things I try to help them get focused on, developing a leadership team of some sort, putting together some processes that are transferable, that are helpful to the new owner, et cetera. Or else there would be a long earn out that would be a part of the sale of that company.
Well, yeah, and then the owner is tied up having to work there if they want to retire, if
Right.
there's a reason like what you just described, a death in the family or a spouse, ill spouse, or worse, the owner is ill, or the worst case scenario, the owner passes away and the business is owner dependent.
Yeah.
That makes the business almost worth nothing.
Right.
A couple of months ago, I got a call from a business attorney in Birmingham, Alabama. The business owner died and the business was owner dependent. And so the family wanted to find out, how could they sell the business? Well, the first call to me didn't come until 8 weeks after the owner passed. There was nothing left. I mean, there was nothing left of that business to try and even go sell. And so that is a horrible tragedy.
It is.
For families who are dependent on that business for income, right? And for
Right.
future, for the future of their family. And so owner dependency to me is an absolute deal killer. Now, if you run a $50 million business and it's got some owner dependency issues, you're probably going to take a haircut on valuation, maybe as much as 25% on the valuation. But a business that's less than 10 million in revenue, and the smaller it is, if it's a $3 million in revenue and it's owner dependent, it is not sellable.
No.
It's unsellable unless you sell it to somebody, a competitor. And then, of course, you're opening the kimono to your competitors, right? And showing everything about that. So to me, make a big business 25% haircut. Small business, it makes it worth nothing. And so it's such an important issue, owner dependency.
It really is. It really is.
I want to give a hint here to our listeners. You don't have to pay me for advice on this because it's a super seemingly simple fix. The execution is a little harder, but when I get into a business and it's owner dependency issue, the first thing that I demand that they do is hire their replacement.
Right.
Hire somebody who can be a junior them and do the things that they're doing. And here's the beauty of that. If it's done correctly, you hire let's call it a general manager or manager or whatever you're going to call it to replace the owner. That means that 100% of the owner's salary, once you've kind of transitioned all of that, the responsibility, and someone else can run the business, 100% of the owner's salary is an add back and so hiring a GM can actually improve the value of the business.
Right.
And so many times I hear, and sorry, this is just one of my real hot buttons, and I'm glad you wanted to talk about it today. So many times I hear a business owner that does go out and painstakingly hires a GM. I hear 3 months later, like, I don't know why I didn't do this 10 years ago. I've got so much more time.
It reduces the stress. It gives them freedom. It sometimes this happens and they think, well, I think I'm going to keep working for another 10 years.
That's right. Because now
I have freedom.
Yeah, they're no longer working 80 hours a week. Now they can do it in 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week. And so it's amazing. It's amazing. So sometimes making that decision, though, takes them off the market. But that's
right.
That's okay.
But that's okay. That's okay by me.
Yeah, exactly.
Their best interest. So that's not a problem.
Exactly. So now the last chapter in your book is actually one of my favorite. And business owners, a lot of times, the thing about business owners is they don't want any help. They don't need any help. They got to where they are because they are who they are. But it really does sort of take a village to get a business ready. And I love the last chapter of your book. It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people. So why do business owners need help in creating a successful exit?
Well, there's a lot to think through, and business owners are, like they know exactly what to do to run their company, but they don't know much about investments. They don't know much about accounting. They don't know much about the law. They don't know a whole lot about actually taking their company to market. So at the very least, they need to have a competent CPA, someone that understands about the sale of a company, that they understand that it's not a good thing for them to be a C Corp when they go to sale, because that diminishes the number of buyers on the market, because people don't want to do a stock sale. You want to make sure that you have not your family lawyer to do the transaction work. They need to have a transaction attorney. You don't have a brain surgeon doing heart surgery. It just doesn't work well for you. So you need to have the right attorney. You need to have a financial advisor that understands that if you're trying to put a trust together, you need to have that all settled before you get an LOI, or the IRS is going to come after you. You need to have the people who understand the dynamics of what's going on in your corner. A boxer, when he's fighting in the ring, has people in his corner who are taking care of him when he comes back. Well, you got to have people in your corner that are on your side, that are trying to help you win this battle that you're in. I'm using the boxing metaphor.
I like that. I'm going to start using that.
That is something that you really need. And a lot of times what owners are thinking, well, I don't want to have to pay them to do this and pay them to do that. If the thing is, you're going to get a much better sales price if you have these people in your corner. If you have competent people that you can trust. Now that's an issue. You need to find people that are trustworthy, that are in your corner. Then you are elevating the sales price by their presence, and you're not going to be taken advantage of. There's a whole lot of issues that business owners have never even thought about, that we who are involved in the sale of companies understand. And so, and really, the attorneys have their place, the financial advisors have their place, the CPAs have their place, the brokers or M&A advisors have their place, and the people the CEPAs have their place to try to help you get prepared. So all this team approach is critical. That's my view.
No, I love that. In fact, you said something here that to me is, I don't want to underplay that. I don't want our audience to miss that. If you are a C Corp today, and you're thinking you want to sell in 5 years, you need to start right now.
Amen.
And you don't need to wait. Don't wait until 3 years before. Don't wait until a year before. You need to transition that business from a C Corp to a pass-through corporation, an LLC.
If you're trying to sell a C Corp as a stock sale, you've eliminated 75% of the buyers.
Yes, you did.
And it makes it a whole lot more difficult to sell. Now, I've done 4 stock transactions, but at the same time, they are few and far between, and they are much more difficult to get done.
Yes. Now, there's some tricks and things that you can do to do some interesting things, but that needs to be evaluated. And it needs to be evaluated by a competent CPA and a competent M&A attorney. So when I say competent, people who CPA and attorney who are familiar with M&A transactions, who
absolutely
you make the right decisions. The other thing that I wanted to kind of jump in on here, I love the boxing analogy, by the way. I'm gonna the first time I use it, my process is the first time I use it, I will give you credit for it, and then after that, it becomes
it's
mine.
yours.
So yes,
I get it.
So
okay.
So just so you know, if you hear me say it again later, you'll know.
All right.
The paying for the advisors, that's one of the things that's kind of universal. Business owners don't want any help, don't need any help, and don't want to pay for any help. Well, really good advisors, having the right advisors around you, pays for itself.
Absolutely does.
In spades. And actually, you get a return on that investment if you've got the right people in place.
And it's fully deductible from your sales price.
It is. And so, oh goodness, it make sure that you have the right people. Don't let it be so, I don't want to do that because I can't pay for it. if you have the right people, they will pay for themselves. So, wow, that great stuff here. Tell us a little bit about your practice and how you drive clients toward their ideal exit, so that our listeners know who to call when it's time.
Well, the way that I approach the sale of a company, someone approaches me or I meet them and they are interested in selling their company. The very first thing I want to do is do an assessment. And a part of that assessment is evaluation of their company, because you have to have a defendable sales price. If you are going to sell your house, a $500,000 house, and you put $1 million price tag on it, it's going to sit on the market for a long time because you're not going to sell it at that price. You need to have a defendable sales price. And you need to also understand that just like in the sale of a house, you stage the house. You don't, you fix it up. You do the things that are necessary so that it has, good road appeal. I mean, you looking at it from afar, man, that looks like a great house. I need to walk in that and see what it's like. See if I want to live there. Well, that's kind of what the buyer is thinking. Do I want to live in this company? And do I want to take this thing over? Where can I go with the company? So I do that assessment and evaluation so that I can understand what's going on. Usually when I do that, the P&L and balance sheet reveal quite a bit to me. I see things that are in my book. I talk about a manufacturer who his sales were going down and his commissions were going up, and he didn't realize that. He didn't really even know how to know if the things he was manufacturing were making any money, because he didn't have an accounting software that showed, profitability. So it was that all of that had to be changed. And, he told me, well, that's not right. That couldn't be right. Well, I said, well, Mr. Business Owner, I'm using your financials and that's what it says. So let's find out what's wrong, what's going on. So doing that, you can see some things that need to be fixed immediately that can possibly be fixed easily. And if that company is growing, if it's not in decline over several years, if it's bankable, then we can take that company to market and we can begin to put together what I do after we've determined that and looked at the options that the business owner has. I'm not trying to force anybody to sell. It might be maintain the status quo's thing to do right now. But the thing is, we look at that company, they decide they want to sell, it is sellable, then what I do is I put together a confidential information memorandum that is a clear understanding of what that company is about, what they do, how they do it, who is involved, and then we take that to market. I market in several different ways. One way is on the internet with smaller companies, larger companies. I have some other methodologies that I employ that are a lot more confidential that I use. If there's a private equity group that I have access to thousands of private equity groups that I can put a teaser out to very easily. And then I have 750 of my best friends that I send an email out to with a teaser about the company. And, I get the word out that a company like X is interested in selling. And then I respond to the inquiries, sign an NDA. And with that NDA, I'm able to provide them with sort of the confidential information memorandum. And we're off to the races. We begin to talk. I qualify the buyers, make sure that they have the financial capability of buying the company before we go anywhere. And then we begin step by step working through with the buyers that indicate significant interest. When they get an LOI signed, then that's when the attorney gets involved and we work through all the processes. We do due diligence. And then eventually we get a check that the owner gets and they are thrilled. So that's kind of the process. I have kind of the sales process outlined on my website at dbgadvisors.com. So it's pretty well documented there. You can see a roadmap that I use, and it's the first step is that assessment. But then I begin to build the team, make sure that you have a team, and then move on to the other steps.
Right. Yeah, that is great. And as I said at the beginning of this, you're one of the very few business brokers that I refer people to, because there are so many. Make sure if you're going to go try and sell your business that you are partnering with the right M&A representation. Just make sure that you're doing that. And DBG Advisors does amazing work in that. Well, one last business question here. This podcast is all about maximizing business value. So,
right.
You're a business owner, right? What is the one most important thing that you would recommend business owners do to build value in their business? And only one, Nolan, only one.
Oh, well, I guess, after you know where you're going and what your business is, the one thing that's most important in my mind is having the right people along with you. Knowing where you're going and who's going with you is key. And building that, to me, that's what makes a huge difference. Having the right people around you makes a huge difference. One of the things that I like to do is talk through, and there's a lot of different ways. You can use a disc, you can use all kinds of different tools. I'm certified in several of them. Mm. And making sure that you have the right people in the right seat in your company.
Oh, and nice. You are sneaking in more things. The one thing is surround yourself.
Well, so one thing is having the right people with you, but having the right people in the right seat. It goes with it. So
an assessment. Yeah. No, I'm giving you a hard time. I have to do that.
Too hard. But that's what's most important to me.
I completely agree. And by the way, if you want to learn a lot about assessments, we did a whole series recently to our listeners on all the different types of assessments, and I got a real education on how to use them. And so, yes, I agree. Get the right people, surround yourself with the right people, not only at the time of exit, but make sure you have the right people internally. I think that is
right. That's the internal folks. Yeah.
Well, just because you gave a good answer there isn't gonna mean that I'm gonna let you off the hook. I have to have the answer to our bonus question, which is, what personality trait has gotten you into the most trouble over the years?
I'm too nice.
Oh, you're too nice. Wow.
Oh, my personality trait, I guess the one that's hurt me the most is I really do bend over backwards to help people, and sometimes that isn't appreciated.
Yeah,
and are recognized, but that's gotten me in the most trouble. Sometimes because I'm trying to be a pleaser, which is not what I have to do. I've realized that. I don't need to be a people pleaser in this business, and I've made some adjustments to my approach. That I'm still nice, but I'm firm in my behavior.
Right. You are very nice. You are very nice. Well, and I'll tell you what, you and I have a little bit of that same. I trust everybody that I meet the first time I meet them until they prove themselves untrustworthy. And once they do that, it's over.
I agree. That's kind of where I'm coming from, is that.
Yeah. I have anybody who's broken my trust has never been able to repair it. And it's just my personality.
We forgive them. We just don't trust them.
I forgive them, but I never trust them again. Right. And so, very interesting. And of course, you know me, I am not a people pleaser. So, I'm going to give the unvarnished truth every time.
I have learned to do that, Tom.
Yeah. So how can our viewers and listeners get in touch with you, and how can they find your book?
Okay. The easiest way to find my book is just to go to my website, dbgadvisors.com. And there's on the website a place where you can basically order the book. And I send that to you free of charge. I pay the postage, the whole 9 yards. And I have that. I feel like it's something that I can give to business owners that will help them get to where they need to go. And that's really what motivates me to begin with, is I want to help people. And that I hope that people will not hesitate to order it. That's the easiest way to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Nolan, this has been a fun conversation. Thank you for being our guest today.
I'm so glad we could do this. Grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Tom.
Awesome. You can find Nolan Duck at DBG, so like Duck Business Group, maybe. I don't know what
that's it.
But dbgadvisors.com or on LinkedIn. And of course, you can always reach out to me and I will be happy to make a warm introduction. This is the Maximize Business Value podcast, where we give practical advice to business owners on how to build long-term sustainable value in your business and prepare it for exit. So be sure to tune in each week and follow us wherever you found this podcast. That way, you'll be notified every week when we drop a new episode. So until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you to learn as much about exit planning as you can by reading great books like this one, written by CEPAs, while you maximize business value.
Thank you for tuning into the Maximize Business Value podcast with Tom Bronson. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their terms. Learn more on how to build long-term sustainable business value and get free value-building tools by visiting our website, www.masterypartners.com. That's master with a Y, masterypartners.com. Check it out.
That was perfect. I wouldn't make any changes on that.